Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. Coach Rick Heller joining us, Iowa baseball coach. Folks have asked me, what is Heller ball? That's Heller ball right there. I'm going to get to Rick in just a second, but Rick is going to join us for the first two segments, and we're going to talk great Iowa baseball here. And Michael Merrick, my production partner, going to come on this side of the camera with me and join me to talk about the Iowa Hawkeye men's and women's basketball teams and what's ahead of us for March Madness, as well as the Iowa Hawkeye wrestling team. But before we get to all of that, Coach, great seeing you. Thanks for joining us. You're very welcome. My pleasure. You're welcome, and thank you. So let's talk about what we've got going on so far. Big victories, the weekend in Florida initially, the first weekend, and you end up winning against Indiana State, a familiar place that you used to coach at. Folks, I want you to know, Coach Heller, an Iowa guy, an Iowa native, just outside of the Ottumwa area, Cardinal of Eldon High School, and played baseball at Upper Iowa and coached there, and in Indiana State, University of Northern Iowa, before they ceased their existence in the baseball program, and here at University of Iowa. Does it seem like that long?
No, it's flown by. It
wow.
really has. It certainly has flown by, which means things have been good.
Gee, folks, all they did, in case you were under a rock, everybody was talking about Iowa men's and women's with great finishes, and that was great last weekend, but in the middle of all that, you lose to Sam Houston State on Friday night, tough game, but then you beat LSU, that then ranked number one, and now currently, again, still ranked number one LSU. You beat the Tigers, and then you come back on Sunday, and I was telling John Leo, who joined us on this show, the play-by-play voice of your Iowa Hawkeye baseball team, you beat K-State, which is a good program, has been traditionally a good program, and that was a tough game. You beat them in 6-5 in a ninth-inning home run. But, Coach, let's you and I talk about a conversation that came out on social media and went viral, especially with the LSU folks a couple of days ago on Monday, that you had mentioned that the baseball season, college baseball season, what's wrong with starting it a month later? And the folks from LSU didn't like that. I think they didn't like you because you beat them last week and also because you said what you said. But I couldn't agree more with you. But tell the folks what you were talking about, please.
Well, this is my 36th year as a head college baseball coach, and I've been a part of, pushes to try to move the season back for 20, 25 years.
Right.
And, we had some momentum going the COVID year, the shutdown, the coaches in the Big Ten. We met twice a week the entire time we were shut down, and we put together a plan and a proposal that we're still going to bring forward when the legislation is allowed to bring forward, which should be hopefully soon, maybe this fall. We'll get organized and put a plan together to present it. But basically, it makes no sense in the era we're in with how big the game is, how the game has grown. All over the country,
yeah.
That we would be playing in the winter, and it makes sense for the South, to play as well, because it's cold down there. I mean, you got to get south of Tampa, you got to get south of Austin.
Your Sam Houston game Friday night was a cold night in Round Rock, Texas, just a little north of Austin. You're right.
So the weather's one thing, and what I found is the people that have the advantages with the weather don't want to hear that as an excuse, but there's so much more to it. We don't do ourselves any favor from a marketing standpoint by playing during basketball season and wrestling season. We move it back a month. March Madness is over. We can really market the start of the baseball season. We're going to start roughly the same time as our major league sport, just like football and basketball. Yeah. We're not talking about playing the entire summer. We're just talking about moving it back a month. That would allow us to ramp up our pitchers properly when we get back from Christmas break. Because right now, we can't even get with our guys till January 15th, and we're playing less than a month later in some cases. So you have to really trust your guys to do the work, and they do. But it's not the right way to do it. We would be able to start the second semester and get into our training, and we'd just be really getting outside and practicing right now. For 3/4 of the country, it would save a lot of money and a lot of budgets where you didn't have to travel the first 4 weeks. And in some cases, if you go further north than here in Northeast, you're talking 5 weeks where you can't play at home. Now, we're blessed here at the University of Iowa because we have an amazing indoor facility, where the football team practices. Right. And that's a big reason why we're off to a good start this year and why we've been able to win a lot of games the first, the 10 years I've been here, is because we can get prepared over there and we can be ready to go When I was at Upper Iowa in a gymnasium, that's a little bit different
Yeah.
story, and that's not everybody has the facilities that we have, but the other thing is, academically it would be way easier on your players.
Sure.
And then if you went, say, the conference tournament, in our model, the conference tournament was going to be the third week of June. So, the majority of the teams would be finished before July ever hits.
Right.
It's not like you're playing through the whole month of July. And then the World Series would be shortly after the 4th of July, right before football season starts, which would be perfect timing. And then, and let's backtrack a little. Think about the amount of money that could be made at all schools with people attending the games if it was in warmer weather in the north, and also warmer weather in the south the first 4 months, where they don't do as well in that point in the season. During that time, we were working with ESPN to find the weekend that was going to work best for them, because that's important. They have, I think, Wimbledon and some other things in the Little League World Series is after that, so we wanted to make sure that the timing was going to be right with them, and it was. And hopefully, and we were getting a lot of positive feedback from the Big 12, the ACC, even the SEC, and even the Pac-12. It wasn't a slam dunk no like it was 20, 25 years ago.
Right.
Because I think if you look at it from a marketing standpoint, from a good for the game standpoint, from a good for the kids standpoint, for the kids' health with the pitchers ramping up, there's really not a lot of negatives. Now let's face it. Anytime you make a change like that, it's not a fit all.
Right. It's not a one size fits all. Right.
Yeah, but it's going to fit most.
You bet.
And way more from a percentage standpoint than it does now.
Well, and you nailed it right there. I was going to say it raises the profile of the Big Ten, and now you've got name recognition and say, well, the tradition at UCLA and USC, and I just think it's wonderful stuff. And I greatly appreciate you going into detail on that, because I don't think a lot of people understand that. And I always joke with folks and say, you want to see someone's passion. You're very passionate about this, and as am I, and I agree with you, because you want to grow the game.
Yeah, I want to grow the game, and I really believe that this is what's best for a game. And I think it's short-sighted from a lot of the coaches that don't want to make this move, because you talk about money. I mean, let's say we're playing the month of June, end of May, month of June, regular season games. All of the networks, as Big Ten Network, SEC, they don't have any programming.
Right.
Now we're the primary programming, and then mirroring it with Major League Baseball, the attention from that is going to grow, and maybe there's even support from Major League Baseball as they've cut a lot of teams in the minor leagues, and we become even more of a feeder system for Major League Baseball. There's just so many positives, and I believe that after a few years of doing that, the game would just grow, and you'd have everybody going, why did we not do this 20 years ago?
Yep.
I really believe that, and then coaches' salaries are going to grow even more, which is where I think guys are being short-sighted.
That's a big-time point there. Multiple points. Folks, he is Rick Heller, Hellerball, head coach of the University of Iowa baseball team. We are here at the Iowa Training Complex, University of Iowa Training Complex for Hawkeye baseball. Coach, we'll be back. Let's take a quick break. We're going to talk about this year's team.
All right.
Lots of excitement to talk about. So for Coach Heller, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. We'll be back with more in just a few moments.
To have a strong finish, you need an excellent start. It's true on the track and also in the field. That's why Mershman Seeds works tirelessly to deliver cutting-edge technology year after year. Introducing Starting Line, Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, now providing added protection from white mold and sudden death syndrome all season. Ask for Starting Line seed treatment from Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we are participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Welcome back to Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. We got Coach Rick Heller. I got to shake that hand one more time, Coach. Great stuff.
Dave.
First, you're very welcome. Thank you, Coach. Rick Heller, Hellerball, University of Iowa head baseball coach. We're at the University of Iowa baseball training facility here on campus, and Coach kind enough to join us after a Wednesday practice. It's March 1st. Big victory yesterday against Loras here at Dwayne Banks Field, just across the way here. So, Coach, so much positive to talk about. We had the voice of your Iowa Hawkeye baseball team, John Leo, joining us last week, and I joked with John off the air, and we were kind of laughing. I said, gosh, I forgot to mention Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall are coming back another year for Bluder's bunch. And John goes, well, all the baseball we talked, I forgot to mention Brennan Dorighi, and coming in from Wofford, we talked about every position coach. We're going to get to Brennan Dorighi here in just a moment. And Keaton Anthony, the Big Ten Player of the Week this last week.
Yeah.
But let's start with pitching.
Brody had a great first outing and has matured a ton from last season. For the first time since we've had Brody in the program, I would say he's as close to healthy as he's been. So that's a big plus, and I think you're seeing that. He feels good, and he feels good in his training, and he can actually practice and do some things to get better as opposed to go out there and just try to survive. And, here was we haven't talked about Zach Volker yet, but the way I look at it is we had 6 guys that we could start. And, we knew Ty was going to be the guy we were going to give the ball on Friday, at least starting the season out. And we thought, okay, what's the best thing for the development of Brody Breck and Marcus Morgan? It's a consistent routine, having Sean in the bullpen with them, getting them ready each day, giving them the ball at the beginning of the game so we can, control that. They could plan all week for that start. If you throw them in the bullpen, it's you don't know when, you don't know where, and for 2 young guys that we really want to see have a big role on this team, we felt like at least starting out, that's the best play. Right. Now Zach Volker, I would tell you, Jared Simpson, even Keaton Anthony, probably more deserving based on performance up to this point in the fall and all those things that you look at as starters. And so we're kind of looking at it in a different way where we'll get Marcus and Brody the ball, let them go as long as they can. Hopefully each week it continues to grow and get better. There's more strikes. And then if we have to go out, in the 3rd inning, the 4th inning, the 5th inning, whenever that might be, we bring in the other starter and boom, he finishes the game. Well, look what happened. Jared Simpson did that in Ty Langenberg's game. Zach Volker pitched phenomenal in relief of Marcus Morgan after a decent start against K-State. And then Jared Simpson came in after Brody came into a pretty tough jam, worked out of it, minimized the damage, and then settled in and gave us almost 5 innings of excellent baseball.
I'm smiling about Brody Breck, too, because he can't pitch until Sunday, and I don't mean to make light of it. He got tossed out of the game after he was pulled out of the game and for something he said to the umpires. And so, obviously, he didn't play or pitch yesterday in the midweek game against Loras, and so he won't be available on Friday or Saturday, but can pitch your finale on Sunday in South Alabama, that tournament. So I would say that I guess Brody's going to learn how to use his vocabulary better with the umpires.
Well,
Is that?
yeah. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
And he's really sorry, and obviously wishes he wouldn't have done it. It was probably about as out of character.
Yeah, truly.
For me, because he's a soft-spoken. He's a competitive kid, obviously, and he's in playing the football, and
that's why
gets amped up.
And that's why I wanted to highlight that. Right, it's out of character.
But it was really out of character, and I guess to have it happen, I don't think we'll see anybody else make that mistake, because it's different in baseball. Kids today, they see, they watch the basketball games and they're basically arguing every call. In football, they're saying whatever they want to say. Well, in baseball, you say one thing and you get kicked out of the game, and if you're a pitcher, that's a 4-game suspension.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit
What is it
different.
for position players?
It's a 1-game suspension.
Okay, because I was talking about that earlier today.
Well, the reason they have to do that is because, if you just gave a pitcher 1 game, he won't miss a start.
Right. Brennan Dorighi has just come in from Wofford and taken that position, and with the bat, with the glove. And then, of course, it's nice to have a guy like you mentioned, Keaton Anthony, is a multifaceted Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
Great pop, Hucksdorf in the outfield. So let's kind of go around the infield first, and then let's go around the outfield. So let's go to position, please.
Well, let's start with Brennan. We were super excited when Brennan decided to come to Iowa. He was a grad transfer from Wofford who as baseball guys, really respect what they do there. They have a great system offensively, and it matches a lot of what we try to do. So we knew that Brennan was well coached, and we knew that he was a leader and a hard worker, and was picking Iowa for the right reasons. Could have went to a lot of maybe named places that were a little sexier looking, possibly, but he chose Iowa for all the right reasons, and this sums it up for him. He's been here a semester, and he got voted a captain at Christmas break.
That tells you everything.
Yeah, it tells you everything. And he was a guy that could play outfield. He could play first base, DH some there. We were thinking, initially that he may end up playing more in the outfield. But he really came in and impressed me with his first base abilities, and he's steadily improved there to where I think he's a plus defender now at first base.
And with Keaton Anthony, we talk about him being utility. And I don't want to hold your feet to the fire on this, but what is his natural position? Where does he prefer to play? Or are you just going to mix him all over this year?
Well, we moved him from right field to compete for the first base job. Just because when we get to the outfield, you're going to see we've got some guys that are a lot faster.
Sure.
And the other question was what we wanted to do with Keaton, knowing he may end up being in the weekend rotation, which changes things.
And he can DH as well.
And that's what he's primarily doing right now, because we need him on the mound.
Coach, you got me smiling the whole time, because viewers, I got to tell you, go to HawkeyeSports.com. You can find out where to watch or listen to the Hawkeyes for free with our good buddy we had on last week, John Leo, the voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes. But Coach, I can't say thank you enough for your time. You're very welcome,
Thanks
Coach.
for having me.
You're very welcome, and thank you for doing this, taking the time. And folks, I want you to know this: the special timing that Coach set aside for this. This is on Wednesday, March 1st, Wednesday afternoon, after practice, after the Loras midweek game on Tuesday, before you got a 3:45 bus call tomorrow morning to fly out early to South Alabama for that tourney. But the Heller and Heller Ball, Rick Heller, head baseball coach at the University of Iowa. We're here on campus at the Iowa Baseball Training Facility. So I want to also give a couple special thank yous to Sam Basler, but also our good buddy John Leo for coordinating this interview. And again, Michael Merrick, my production partner, who you'll see in the next segment to close out the show. So for the aforementioned folks and Coach Heller, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeyed. We'll be back with more in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We are living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair, upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seed company that's chasing technology, or a seed company that's writing a book on it? Mershman Seeds is a leader in technology. We're independent and family owned. Our sister company, MS Technologies, provides access to world-class traits and genetics. And our starting line seed treatment is second to none. Who can you trust with your yields? Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. If you're not Heller balled out yet for Iowa Hawkeye baseball, we're going to talk Hawkeye men's basketball and wrestling, or I'm going to briefly, before we bring in Michael Merrick to talk Hawkeye women's basketball. He's going to be up in Minneapolis for the Big Ten women's tournament this weekend. But folks, if you've seen the last couple games of the University of Iowa men's basketball team, great game last night. Normally we record on Tuesday afternoon. We waited till Wednesday, March 1st to record today with Coach Heller, but also the men's basketball team. Big victory last night at Indiana. Held up their end of the bargain like they did at the end of the game against Michigan State. Just bear these numbers in mind, folks. They outscored Michigan 23-10 in the last minute 30 to send the game to overtime, and then they win 112-106. And Carver-Hawkeye Arena was at a full volume decibel level, as it has been with wrestling, because the Hawkeye men's wrestling team has their Big Ten wrestling tournament this weekend. So, Michael, that being said, follow that. I mean, man, we're talking baseball with big wins, softball, great game against UCLA, number 1 UCLA, men's basketball team, wrestling, but women's basketball and what Caitlin Clark did on Sunday. Folks, I want you to know this. You see all of Michael's information at the bottom of the screen along with mine throughout this segment. Michael got the privilege, and as you know, he calls games for KRUI, University of Iowa Radio, and also the Daily Iowan television station, DI, with University of Iowa. Back-to-back days. Saturday, the men, the decibel volume 120 plus. Women's, when Caitlin Clark hits the shot against Indiana, decibel volume 120 plus. I don't want to say I'm going to spoil you here, Michael, but it's not going to be that way every day, every game back-to-back. But thanks for joining us. Great seeing you. And wow, fire away.
Always great to see you, Dave. And there wasn't a better atmosphere in the country the last over that last weekend than there was in Iowa City.
I don't think
Carver-Hawkeye
you and I could have
Arena.
sat down and scripted this out any better.
You really couldn't. When we were on call Saturday for the game with about 50 seconds, a minute left, we were doing the, well, they're still in it, don't give up. Not really meaning it. We didn't really believe any of the things we were saying, just trying to keep it light on the broadcast. And the next thing I know, we're in the game. The Hawkeye men, Peyton Sanford hit the shot of forever, heard around Iowa City for sure. Won in overtime, but that Caitlin Clark shot, I mean, can't get much better than that after a call that Iowa fans weren't too happy with that gave Indiana the lead with the tie game, and then obviously they put them up by 2. You can't draw up a better play than an open Caitlin Clark 3 for the win. I mean, when that went in, I mean, it just erupted in there. I could barely hear myself.
From her post-game interview, and again, you see Michael's information at the bottom of the screen throughout this segment, you posted the back-to-back calls that you made from Saturday and Sunday. It was so loud, and you project very well, it was so loud we could barely hear you. The national broadcast with Rebecca Lobo, a former great player, and then you saw Caitlin's interview with Holly Rowe after the game, Caitlin Clark. She was trying to scream into the microphone. Michael, it's sustained loudness for quite some time.
It really did. I'm just now getting my voice back. Lisa Bluder had a little after game interview as well on the court, trying to hype everyone to come back up to Iowa City because they'll be a top 4 seed and they'll host the regional. And her voice was gone in that. You could barely hear her with how loud the crowd was. She's speaking into a microphone, and no one knows what she's saying.
Senior
but
day,
they're so hype.
Yeah, but senior day, she came back up and spoke on the microphone to introduce Monica Sanano. Boy, we're going to miss her and McKenna Warnock. But as you and I were going to talk about today, I brushstroked it earlier in the show, but I forgot to. We ran out of time to mention it last week. Gabby Marshall's going to come back for another year, as is Kate Martin. So really losing Warnock and Sanano, 2 big holes, but. Oh, by the way, and I'm going to bury the lead, but I want you to talk about it, so I'll bring it up. Sixth player of the year, and give this guy credit right here, Michael Merrick. He's the one that initially said in the early season games, Dave, when you were calling the games, you said look out for Hannah Stuelke. All she was done was named 6th player of the year, first person off the bench. I still think coulda, shoulda, woulda been freshman of the year as well, but I don't want to take anything away from the Ohio State gal. But then, of course, surprise of surprise here, burying the lead, Caitlin Clark, your Big Ten Women's Basketball Player of the Year. Talk a little bit about those 2 awards, please.
I mean, what else can you say about Caitlin Clark? There was a graphic that the Big Ten Network put up about players to average 27, 7, and 7 in a single season, and that is 5 NBA future Hall of Famers and LeBron, Luka, Harden, Westbrook, and I'm leaving someone off.
KD? No.
Yeah, KD might have, and then also Caitlin Clark. So all these players in the NBA who had done it, and then Caitlin Clark this season, it's just remarkable what she's done. The fact that she wasn't unanimous Big Ten Player of the Year means whoever spent that vote needs to lose that vote, because that's just ridiculous. What are we talking about right now? To touch back on the Hannah Stuelke 6th Player of the Year, what she has done in her limited time, I mean, efficiency is the name of Hannah Stuelke. That might be her middle name. What she does in her limited time on the court, she could be on the court for 5 minutes, and you look up, she has 5 rebounds, 10 points, and 2 steals. Granted, she is still a freshman. She's still working through some things. She might also have 3 turnovers in that as well. But that's what you get when you have a young player like that. She'll have to have a much expanded role in a season from now when Sanano and Warnock are gone. And you touched on Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin coming back. And I don't think Iowa fans can truly understand how big that is for Iowa to have 2 really gritty, great role players. They know their role. They know what they do bring on the court each and every single night. Gabby Marshall's perimeter defense is incredible. And I don't know if there's a thing Kate Martin can't do.
Give me your expectations. I gave you mine. I think this is going to be a big weekend tournament for Iowa women. What are your thoughts? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so when I'm going to go to Minneapolis this weekend, what I'm really looking for is both those trilogy games. I want nothing more than Iowa to get another shot at Maryland and then another shot at Indiana in that championship game.
Why wouldn't you?
We got to find out who's the better team of all. Each team split the home and home, so we have to find out neutral court. That's where you find where the better team is. And now that it's in Minnesota, I mean, Indiana doesn't even get like the home court advantage
Right.
that they had a year ago in both tournaments with everyone from Indiana is going to the game in Indianapolis, but I'm really looking forward to seeing tournament Caitlin Clark. I mean, anytime there's a big game, a big matchup, it feels like Caitlin Clark's putting up 30 plus.
Iron sharpens iron. So the bigness of the game is the iron. Caitlin, obviously, and iron sharpens iron. Michael, great stuff from you as always. Safe travels. Cannot wait to talk about next week. We're going to be putting a wrap on the Big Ten wrestling tournament, going into the Big Ten men's tournament. March Madness is upon us. It's March 1st, Wednesday. So cannot wait to cover all the men's, women's basketball, wrestling, Hellerball, baseball. We may have some more softball to talk about. Great stuff going on here. Right here at the University of Iowa, Michael Merrick and I today. We're at today at the University of Iowa recording this show. Thanks again to Michael Merrick, Coach Rick Heller, my buddy John Leo, and to you, the viewers for Hawkeyed. I'm Dave O'Hara. That's all from me. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeyed. Thanks to all of you.